Welcome to MCN. We're here today testing the Rieju Adventura 307 Rally. This is a really interesting new entry to the very crowded small adventure bike class because it's quite high spec and quite racy looking, but it's also not very expensive either. 4599 puts it at pretty much below every other rival. So it's a really interesting new machine in this class. I'm sure a lot of people want to know what it's about. So I've been riding it for a good 300 miles or so now, done a little bit of medium distance, lots of sort of general road riding through town, and as you can probably tell, I've been on the trail a lot as well. So let's answer the big questions and see if this is the bargain that it would first appear. First question, road manners. Basics, that's the first thing you're going to do with this bike, and that's the first thing I did. Arriving 2 miles on the clock, it needed running in, so I just set out around our local lanes, just dollying around, having a bit of fun, sort of quiet Monday afternoon and getting to know it. And I was pleasantly surprised for a bike that looks like it's really biased towards off-road riding. It's got really good road manners. That little launch-in single, next to no vibes, nice mannered, even though the gearing is a little bit short. Kind of 70 miles an hour is 8,000 RPM. Once kind of got a few more miles and it was happy to take it that high. And peak power is over by then really, and you don't want to go past 9, so it's kind of thrashing itself at that sort of speed. But what that means, coupled with the mid-range it's got, we'll come back to this as well, we've had it on the dyno too, it's actually sort of quite easy to ride. You can really sort of lean on the grunt and it snaps through the gears quite quickly, gets out of the way of traffic really well, and just generally a pleasurable little engine to use, even though it's not that powerful. It's not got loads of stomp like the 390 Adventure is a lot more powerful. CF Moto 450, obviously a twin, different kind of experience entirely. But for what this is, it's better than the CR300 Rally. I'll put money on that. It's got a little bit more go, a little bit more poke. It's smoother as well, and the CRF has the same issue that you don't really want to go much past 65 comfortably for any amount of time. Other bits and pieces, has really great dash on it, big TFT screen there, nice and clear, easy to use. It's like an iPad, big tablet here, and Rieju for everyday adventure. Look at that. I'll come back to that point. But nice and clear. Menus are easy to kind of get through. So it's all in there, so you can select your modes and turn the ABS off from there. And something as well that I noticed straight away was how firm the suspension was, and particularly if you're a CRF owner, that's going to be of interest because they are the opposite direction. They are really soft. Full adjustment, compression and rebound at both ends for this, so you've got the option to meddle around with it. As it comes, quite firm, and I did actually want to back it off, and I thought I'll give the adjusters a go. They're probably not going to do a lot because they're unbranded, it's not even listed in the manufacturer's specs, so I'm assuming Chinese, somebody you've never heard of. 20 clicks of adjustment on the forks, and just taking 3 off was enough to kind of get that little bit of plushness and compliance that I wanted, which was a real surprise and a real kind of plus point for this. They actually do something, so all good on that front. Brakes, okay as kind of mechanical parts, but the ABS actually is worth kind of singing its praises. It's not angle responsive or anything like that, but it's obviously been tuned to be really, give you that really kind of late sort of action rather than sort of cutting in early. You can give that front brake a good squeeze and get the point where the knobs are kind of shrieking and worming around. So anytime you get your knob shrieking is kind of good times as far as I'm concerned. Now, and back brake, nice and easy to use. Again, ABS not too keen, and you can turn it off easily with the switch on the handlebars as well when you get to your end of your road and want to get onto a trail. So road performance overall pretty good with the limitations you'd expect with a big wheeled trail bike, but no, thumbs up so far. So for our next question, we're going to ask, is the equipment on this very good? Now, that's going to be one of the selling points of this bike potentially, in that it is quite high spec when you compare it to the Royal Enfield, the CRF, even the CF Moto, which is pretty high spec as well, and from China. Now, we've already mentioned the TFT dash a little bit. That's all really nice, easy to use. Within that, there is the Carbit app, which you can connect your phone to. Switch gear as well, that's really nice. This backlit stuff it's got a nice feel to it. It doesn't feel cheap and horrible. You've also got a little USB port here. It's got both USB A and C, which is a nice touch. A lot of manufacturers just jumping straight from one to the other and leaving people behind. And something that's not really noted on the spec sheet is the graphics as well. These are really thick enduro motocross style ones, and With CRF, I'm going to pick on the Honda again because I blew all the graphics off one last time. I jet washed one in a day in the dirt. These are nice and robust, and even with kind of lots of sort of grit and mud having been rubbed into them for the past few hundred miles, they're still looking pretty good, and I think they'll withstand frequent pressure washing, which you're going to need to do if you're doing what I'm doing and getting it really filthy. So that's another good point. And another little feature as well I noticed, which you can't see on this side, but on the other side of the swing arm, the spindle is captive in the chain adjusters, so you're not there with two spanners. Really neat little touch, just helps kind of look after the bike. And for people that are worried about taking this into the outback or across Africa or whatever you might want to do with something like this potentially, under the seat, just release it with a key. All the relays are not only really accessible, the battery's there too, they're all labelled as well, so you can see what's what. So if you have a problem with a fuel pump, you can start diagnosing things. Just little touches like that show that they've thought about people that are really going to use this for those kind of sort of extreme adventure, overlanding type experiences. So it's good too. Big foot pegs are standard as well. No real need to change those. Folding gear lever on this side too. What we should say at this point as well is there is also another version of the 307, the R model. Now it's pretty much the same bike, suspension, brakes, wheels, engine, all the same. The main differences are Michelin tracker, sort of more dedicated enduro type tyres are standard. You get a really big aluminium sump bash guard for underneath, and you get the red kind of rally style graphics. And rather than being 4599, it is 4999 on the road. So yeah, kind of another £400 thereabouts. Is it worth it? I would probably say so if you're going to do lots of trail riding. On the road, these tyres are absolutely fine, no problem with them at all. As you can probably tell, it's middle of winter here in the UK. It's been going between sort of 8 and 9 degrees centigrade down to freezing. And so I've been dealing with wet, sloppy mud, big puddles, and ice as well. So it's been quite challenging. But give it its credit, these have kind of hung in there. They're okay, but you're really going to want something more dedicated. But obviously that's a bit of a personal choice. So if it was me, I probably would go for that higher spec model just for the bash plate as well, because it's just got that big plastic cover underneath, which is not really going to do anything other than keep mud off the sump. So that's the other matter. And actually the last little touch as well, standard bark busters. Even the DRZ doesn't come with that, which is a bit of a quibble with those. And as well as keeping branches and things off your knuckles, they're actually quite good on the road too. They kept the wind off my fingers, sort of doing higher speed miles in the cold. So they're actually a decent design as well. They're not just a styling part. So is the equipment any good? Yeah, it is. I don't think you can really fault it for the price. No real quibbles with any of it. All nice and easy to get to grips with and seems reasonably good quality. So you've got that option of the higher spec one, which if you're doing anything more than very occasional trails and mostly road use, you're going to want that just because it is a little bit more fit for purpose. So that brings us neatly to our next question, how this thing performs off-road. Now, this has kind of an adventure type suspension. It's got 235mm of travel rather than sort of 250 or more as you tend to get with a sort of trail dual sport bike. But like we said before, it's reasonably firm. So unlike the CRF, which in theory has more travel, it doesn't kind of blow through it. Now, if I pushed a CRF off the stand, it would immediately sink down and it'd take you a long while just to get it off the stand. But this holds its ground, and that's immediately apparent when you start kind of bumping along something fairly rough. What it does is it kind of stays in the nice part of the stroke, and it keeps control, it keeps grip, even with these kind of more basic tyres, which haven't been great for the conditions we're in. You always know what's going on, even if it's not a good thing, which I've kind of experienced a few times. It's got a bit wayward a few times, but I've not hit the deck. So it kind of tells you everything you need to know about how this thing kind of handles off-road. It's got a nice low centre of gravity, it's really well balanced. It's also quite light as well, and I'm going to come to that. We've got a set of calibrated scales back at MCN Towers, and this bike weighs 160 kilos, fully fueled on the nose. CRF 300 Rally is the lightest in this class, and that weighs 153 kilos full of fuel. But it carries around 6 kilos less fuel. So actually, if you fueled this bike to the same level, they'd be identical. But with that higher level componentry, it's far easier to ride, either slowly or if you want to go a bit quicker, it's got that capability. Great standing position as well. Even for my height, I quite often find myself a little bit stooped, but as it was, I could ride it all day. If I owned it, I'd probably spend a little bit of time trying the second handlebar position, just because it'd be a little bit more forward, a little bit higher as well. And then the engine. Now, like I say, this is a Longines built engine. It's been partly used in the Vosges before, and once upon a time it was a copy of a Kawasaki KLX 250, obviously a little bit bigger bore now, and they've started developing it in their own right. We put it on the dyno just earlier today, and it makes 25 horsepower, 16 pounds of torque.
It's about sort of 5,000 revs, it's lacking, and then as soon as it hits 5.5, it's just kicking off. Anything between 5 and 9 is where it wants to live. So what they have, the power they have got, the limited power they've got, it's just a small engine. They've put it in one place to get the best of everything in that one area.
So not big numbers, but the power curve, most of the grunt is in the middle, which is exactly where you want it for sort of gentle road riding below 60 miles an hour, and also on the trail as well. You can just kind of stay between 3 and 6 thereabouts and just lean on it, and it chugs through, and it's got the manners to come down quite low. Occasionally there's a bit of a snatch from the throttle. It's not ride by wire, it's just a normal cable throttle, so their ability to kind of map out that kind of issue and also meet Euro 5 is fairly limited, so we're not really surprised. But equally, I never felt it was that much of an issue because it's not got a great deal of power, so when it does kind of cough, and it's like waking up a sleeping drunk on a park bench, and it goes like that. But it doesn't really surge and do anything unpleasant, and it's not got enough power to really break traction and make things ugly. So actually going through slow stuff, it was nice and easy to manage, and you can kind of click through the gears. They're quite closely packed from second through to fifth, and it's just really well mannered. And I've had a great day. I was kind of, every time I got to a trail and I saw it was deep mud, slop, mess, I was thinking, oh no, this is going to be horrible. But stand up, get it in third, and just keep going. And it's been really pleasurable. And the day I did yesterday on it, I was supposed to be just getting some miles down, figuring out the tank range and doing things like that on the road. And a few times I was going along, there's a sign for a byway, and I just took the detour. I was like, no, I'm having another one. And that's quite interesting because I've not felt like that about any of the other bikes in this class. This kind of, it compels you to ride and enjoy it, and not just, hard to explain really, but this kind of brings out that really primitive joy of motorcycling that you get when you're first riding, when you're just kind of going out there exploring the world. And if you kind of learnt on a small on-off-road bike, dual sport, then you probably did the same. You probably just went off down any track that you could find, whether it was legal or not. And I don't do that anymore, but this, you just go, right, there's a byway there, I'll see where that goes, and you could pop out, find another one, and just spend your day sort of going from mud to tarmac and back again. And it turned into a really pleasurable day from something that was just kind of getting the basics of this test down. So off-road, yet another kind of thumbs up for its performance there. No real quibbles. I don't think you can ask much more of an adventure bike. It's light, it's manageable, easy to use, no real problems. So all good feedback so far, but obviously Chinese built. There's going to be a lot of people staring back into their monitors or phones or whatever you're watching this on, thinking, yeah, it's going to be badly built, it's not very good. So is it badly built? Mostly not. And I'll start with the good stuff. We'll do a little compliment sandwich there. When you sit on it and you're looking at these yokes and nicely machined fork tops and all the nice bits and pieces, it's quite well put together. All these gaps and kind of general kind of fit and finish is pretty good. Like I say, the wheels are nice. They've got rim locks as standard as well. Swing arm, when it's not covered in mud, has got a nice machined alloy edge to it, and it generally feels like a nicely put together thing. However, like I say, this bike was fresh out of the box. It had a PDI, and the importers didn't do any miles on it to figure it out. This is the first time they've seen it in the UK, so that they know kind of very little more than I do about it. And I have run into a few little issues with it. The first was a kind of a knocking that I felt through the chassis, and initially I thought maybe it's something like the head bearings have settled in, but they're all good. What it actually is the eyelets, the spherical bearings, either end of the shock absorber. They've got a little bit of play and movement in them, so when you kind of lift it off the ground and there's just a little knock there, there's just the tiniest bit of kind of up and down play. And if you're old enough to have had, or at least remember, the monocross early monoshock Yamahas, they quite often did that as well. The pivots wore out and you had a bit of a knock, and the MOT tester got grumpy about it. So we've got a little bit of that going on, which wouldn't concern me in the first instance because it's a brand new bike. You've got a warranty. Wave your hand at your dealer and say, I want a new one, thank you, and they'll sort it out and keep going until they've got a shock with the right tolerances. The chain as well, again, when it's clean, has actually got rusty side plates now, even though I've kind of tried to clean all the mud out of it and kept it lubed in between riding sessions. It's still gone pretty quickly, and actually when you bend down and give it a feel, it's just starting to come away from the sprockets a little bit in certain places on the chain. So I don't think it's really up to kind of lots of off-road riding. Some of the trails I did were quite sandy, and I think it's probably going to chew through that fairly quickly. But if you're doing a lot of trail riding, you kind of accept that it's harsh discipline. It's going to be hard on the bike. So that's not the end of the world. It's a fairly standard sort of size, so you can just buy a more mainstream chain. It's made by a company called Choho, whoever they are. But yeah, that's going to want kind of changing if you're doing a lot of off-road riding. And then the final and probably biggest issue is actually back on the shock absorber. So about 200, 250 miles or so, can't remember exactly when, I noticed there was a little kind of splash of fluid on the swing arm just behind the brake reservoir there, and I thought, oh, maybe there's a leak from that. Well, it actually turned out there's a little bolt in the front of the rear shock reservoir and is just dribbling from there, so that's not tight either. So whoever made that shock was having a horrible Friday afternoon and didn't do a very good job of that one. So again, another one where you just throw it back at your dealer, the importer, try a warranty, and hopefully that will sort it. Hopefully that's just one bad one in a batch and the rest are okay. Because like we said before, the shock itself works really well. So it's obviously been put together, or at least designed, with some thought and care. So you'd like to hope that that's a one-off, but we'll see what happens when more owners start getting their bikes in the near future and how they experience it. But otherwise, it's been pretty good. Engine as well, kind of had a little bit of a fear with a brand new unrun-in bike on its original oil, but this one's been absolutely fine, no weird rattles. So build quality, is it good? Mostly. There's a few little bits and pieces, and I think in broad terms you're probably going to have to be a little bit more hands-on than you would be with the Honda or kind of a more established manufacturer. It is quite cheap. They are going to be put together probably not quite as well in certain areas, but I think broadly speaking, looking at how it is built, I think it'll mostly be okay if you're prepared to get the spanners out and maybe do a bit of preventative maintenance, like rust protection as well. So, final question, and the big one, should you buy one? Yes, I think so. It's not going to win our group test this year. This will be a part of it, as long as the importers are happy to let us back after we point out the problem with the shock. But I think this is a really strong candidate for a lot of riders, and particularly thinking back to when Enfield first brought out the Himalayan 411. That was kind of really cheap, quite simple, quite light, quite easy to manage. This is very similar, but it's a much higher level of performance on top of all of that. So yeah, okay, you're going to have to get your hands dirty, you're going to have to maybe raise a few warranty queries, but it doesn't cost that much money. I mean, your down payment on a GS or a Multistrada or something would be more than this if you wanted any kind of sensible finance terms. You can have this outright. And when you compare it to rivals like, so we'll start with the Vosges 300 Rally, because obviously they share certain bits of the engine. That's just under £4,000. I think about 3,800 is the 2026 list price. This is a far better bike. The chassis is much more capable. It's got that little bit more power. This has got a different top end to the Vosges, so it breathes a little bit better, different airbox injection, things like that. The equipment's nice as well. You've got that nice dash, the switch gear, and for the extra £800, it's definitely worth having. So the Vosges probably needs to respond and step its game up a little bit in response. Then you've got the CRF 300 Rally, really popular bike, but it's over £6,000. It's not really changed that much in recent years, and you'd have to spend a lot of money getting it to perform anywhere near as well as the Rieju straight out of the box. So that's kind of dead in the water now, we feel. And then going back to the Royal Enfield Himalayan, the 450, the new liquid-cooled one, if I'd been riding this over the past couple of days on some of the trails I've been hitting, I'd have been stuck, I'd have been miserable, I'd have been sweating. I mean, that and the CF Moto 450 MT, they're nearly 200 kilos. This is obviously 40 kilos lighter, it's got better suspension with more travel, and it's just that much easier to ride. On the road, I think it's probably better mannered than the Enfield as well. CF Moto is a bit smoother, being a twin, and it feels a bit more luxurious, more of a road-biased adventure bike. But for sort of genuine sort of on-off-road trail riding and sort of adventure riding, I think this is potentially a better buy. So with that being said, we're really excited for the group test with all these bikes. There's a few more in the class as well. KLE 500. There's also a Marini as well, with a name that I can't pronounce because it's not English as far as I can tell, or any other language. But it's a really exciting year for this class. This remains an exciting option, and if you can't wait for the group test to come out, it's really worth going down to a dealer, having a look at one and sizing it up for yourself, because it's capable, it's fun, it's good looking, it's mostly well made, and it's an incredible bargain. So should you buy one? If my dad was asking, should I buy a new trail bike, adventure bike, I wouldn't feel bad about recommending this. So that's probably all the recommendation you need. Somebody I like or love, I'd let them buy one. So yes, you should. So that concludes our first ride on the Rieju Adventura 307. If you've got more questions about the bike, please let us know in the comments. We'll be testing it again later this year in our group test, as we said, so there's another chance for us to get under the skin a bit more. If you bought one or are about to buy one, please let us know why and how you're getting on with it. That's all from me today. Thank you for watching. Drop us a like if you did like it. Subscribe if you want to see the group test when it's coming, and everything else that we're up to here on MCN.